across the UK. Overnights with Paul Ross.
talkSPORT and Talk Radio in the warm afterglow of Liverpool's triumphant victory, claiming for the first time in history the Premier League. I want you to think of another bunch of Shankly's Reds, because there is a unique global fundraising campaign. It's been launched to save the future of a football club who also happen to play in red and white, once managed by Liverpool icon Bill Shankly. It's already been supported by Liverpool FC legends John Aldridge, Alan Kennedy and Jimmy Case. And now they want you to use your money, to use your influence, to use your support to keep the spirit of Shankly alive at Workington AFC, also known as the Reds. Delighted to welcome to talkSPORT and Talk Radio to tell us more, Les Byers, Workington AFC chairman. Good morning, Les, and thanks for doing this for us.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Very well indeed. Now, you were flying high, weren't you guys? You were doing really well, as Liverpool were. And then, of course, we had the coronavirus pandemic. What happened after that, Les?
Well, basically a little bit different to Liverpool. We were 10 points clear, top of the Northern Premier League. Promotion was there. We'd led the season for approximately 30-odd weeks of the season. We were the leading goal scorers in the league, but then the FA and the Leeds expunged the season, made it null and void. So we didn't get our promotion on April the 25th.
And also, with no fans coming through the gates, I mean, lots of clubs have faced challenges. It's been a terrible time for cash, I suppose, Les.
It's been a hugely challenging time, actually, Paul. Without anybody coming through the gates, clubs at our level just don't have any revenue streams. We don't get any big TV payouts, and playing behind closed doors just isn't an option, because we rely so heavily on the money from the gate and selling food and drink, even the half-time draw ticket, believe it or not.
Yeah. I mean, I often go along to Maidenhead Football Club over near where I'm staying at the moment. It's the same kind of thing. It's very much at the heart of the community, but it's very much almost, maybe not week to week, but kind of, season to season, every penny counts. And now, of course, you've been robbed of the chance of that, robbed of promotion, and maybe even more bitter is the fact that next year is your centenary year, isn't it? Because you were founded, as Workington Football Club back in 1921.
Yeah. Just after the war, we reformed in 1921, and we've been there ever since, heart of the West Cumbria community. We built our stadium in 1938, which in itself is quite iconic, really, but it's not in the best of conditions, so that every penny counts, really.
And I think Bill Shankly went back, didn't he, 40 years ago this year in 1820, because you've got a Shankly lounge there.
Yes, he did. It was 40 years ago. August 1980, he came back and he opened the Shankly Lounge, pulled the first pint behind our new bar, and that new bar's still there now, 40 years later, in exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's a shrine to him, really, and he's fondly remembered, Paul, by a lot of Workington people.
And I've been looking at a wonderful photograph in the archives of, and it was a one-off occasion, I think it was the 9th of April, 1986, when you had a rather special captain. You were playing against the Lancashire 11. It was a charity game. George Best turned out for Workington, didn't he, Les?
Right, he did. He turned out for Workington. Over the years, we were in the Football League until 1977 when we were replaced by Wimbledon. And we've got a really rich history.
So how can people get involved? How can people help? Because this is more than just Workington, isn't it? This is about football at that most important level. People talk about the bottom of the pyramid. It's not the bottom of anything. It's the lifeblood of football you represent, Les. How can people help?
Our crowdfunding page allows anybody to donate anything, basically. It can be £1, it can be £10. Everything will be gratefully received. It all comes to the club. We don't have to reach a particular target, although we are sitting there now on nearly 14,000, which is absolutely tremendous. What anybody can afford to pay, just to save not just Workington Reds, but also the legacy that Shankly left us when he managed us in 1953-54.
And also, I think you've got a very strong, we mentioned George Best, you've got a very strong Manchester United connection as well. Tell us about the Busby Babes event.
January 1958, we reached the third round of the FA Cup, and we were drawn against Busby Babes, Manchester United. And that is one of the I mean, it's the dream of most football clubs at our level to be drawn in the third round against Manchester United. That was the last match they played before the Munich disaster in 1958. So we had the likes of Duncan Edwards and Tommy Taylor and Roger Byrne, Bobby Charlton as a youngster, playing in that side at Borough Park on that cold day in January 1958.
And in fact, I know for a fact, because I'm a West Ham fan, you reached the quarter-finals of the League Cup, not once but twice in 2 consecutive seasons. And in one of those League Cup quarter-finals, my mob, West Ham, knocked you out.
You did, yes, unfortunately.
I better stick in an extra 50 quid. I better stick in an extra 50 quid just to say sorry for that all those years ago. And listen, I'm a bit of a football historian. I mean, I love anything to do with history. And I've been digging and delving in your archives and in the local historians' archives. And one of the earliest mentions ever, earliest newspaper reports ever of a football match is in your area. And I'm sure you know this, Les. It's from a publication now long gone called the Cumbrian Packet. And it was on the 20th of April, 1775. I mean, you were there at the very beginning of football, long before the Football Association. There was football in Workington.
Well, we're not entirely sure it was football as we know it. It could well have been a rugby-based football that used to be
That's right. People used to pick up the ball and run with it, didn't they? They could run with the ball at times. But even so, it was that kind of that passion for the beautiful game.
Football. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there is an Easter game played at Workington. There's only a few places it's played. It's played in Ashbourne, and I think it's played in Kirk. And it's and Downies, and it's based between the two. There's 2 areas of the town historically, and that goes back to the time of Mary Queen of Scots. And it's still played on Easter in Workington now as an annual. Anybody can play it, but it can be quite rough. The ball can go through rivers, across roads, through hedges and everything. But one of the main one goal is down at the harbour side, and one goal is up at the castle in Workington. And that is a truly historic game, Paul.
Brilliant stuff. Now, coincidentally, we've got on the breakfast show this morning with Laura Woods and Annie McCoist, Brighton striker Glenn Murray is on the breakfast show. And he started his career with your mob, with Workington, didn't he?
He did, yes. He played at the time we had Tommy Cassidy as our manager, who used to be Northern Ireland international from Newcastle. A lovely guy. His parents still live in Maryport, about 8 miles away. And it was one of those people that you watched and you thought, you're going to do very well for yourself, really. And another one that we had at just about the same time was Grant Holt, who ended up at Norwich.
Wow, and also coincidentally, on the breakfast show, they're joined by former Boyzone star Ronan Keating, who I think used to have a pie stall at Workington, didn't he? Have I dreamt that?
I think you've dreamt that enough, yeah.
Listen, we're doing our best for you here. Let's remind people where they can find you. Remind us where we can find you to contribute money to keep Workington alive for their centenary year.
It's crowdfunding.com, and it's save-the-Reds. Save the Reds.
Well, let's hope that happens. Sure it will, Les. You've been a fantastic guest. Thank you so much for your time at this unearthly hour. That was Les Byers there, Workington AFC chairman. Save-the-Reds. Get involved on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.